Welcome to Formative Assessment for California Teachers. Hi, this is Teresa Stringer with the Irvine Unified School District's Beginning Teacher Support and Assessment Program. In this video, we are going to take a look at Module B, Assessment of Teaching and Learning. During this module, participating teachers consider prior knowledge and skills acquired during teacher prep, their current context for teaching, and evidence gathered by a trained support provider during an observation to assess their teaching practice and identify strengths and areas for growth. Both Year 1 and Year 2 participating teachers will complete Module B, Part 1 and 2, each year of the program. Please keep in mind the expectation is you will take the time to read the instructions for each page of the document as you are completing them. The point of this audio is to give you an overview of the documents in Module B and to point out any changes or items of special notice.
This is a page break.
Here is an overview of the steps to help you complete Module B, Part 1 and Part 2. All of these steps will be explained. Step 1, pre-observation conversation. Step 2, observation by support provider, document B3. Step 3, post-observation conversation, reflection, and CSTP identification, B4. Step 4, teacher preparation and induction alignment chart conversation, document B1. Step 5 is to complete the KWO chart, document B2. You'll notice there are 5 steps, and then step 1, 2, and 3 are repeated.
This is a page break.
Okay, let's start with Module B, Part 1. The purpose of Module B, Part 1 is to allow the support provider to observe the participating teacher's classroom environment and to begin to identify areas of strength and opportunities for growth, which will, in turn, provide information for reflective conversations. Observations are perhaps the most critical components of effective support. You will notice there are only 2 documents to be completed in this module. B3 is the observation and document B4 is the reflection. This module is important because it provides the opportunity for the support provider to visit the new teacher's classroom and just observe everything. There's no specific agenda with this observation except to get to know the participating teacher's teaching style, classroom, and to collect evidence of the California standards for the teaching profession.
This is a page break.
We are going to look at document B3, which is the first observation. Here are the steps that should be taken in Module B, Part 1. You can notice Step 1, the support provider will arrange a date, time, and 1 lesson to observe. In the second step, in preparation for the lesson, the participating teacher will need to provide 2 things to the support provider. The first item, the participating teacher must create an official lesson plan to allow the support provider to follow along with the lesson. And the second item, the participating teacher will provide a seating chart to the support provider prior to the lesson. This is document B3. And the support provider will use it to document the observation or something similar to it. During the observation, the seating chart allows the support provider to make notes of teacher and student movement along with the additional information that may be helpful to the new teacher. The support provider observation must be typed. If you look at this document, it has all the information that would be necessary for the actual observation record if a support provider chooses not to use this. If they decide to type it up in a Word document, for example, must have the participating teacher's name, support provider's name, and the date of the observation. It needs to be identified somewhere that it's Module B Part 1, Module B Part 2. It also needs to keep a timeline of when different actions and different things are said during the lesson. This is where the actions would be posted. This would also include quotes from either students or the teacher. And this is a column where the support provider would identify the CSTPs. This is an example of a Module B Part 1 observation by a support provider, not using the form, but it is considered complete. Note the time is listed when the actions were taken and instructions were given. The CSTPs are also easily identified in red. This is a very thorough support provider observation. It just needs to be saved as the observation form B3.
This is a page break.
After the support provider types up their observation, they will make arrangements with their participating teacher to share their notes. On the first observation notes, the support provider will need to identify the CSTPs evident in the observation. Identifying the CSTPs can be done by the support provider alone or with their new teacher. For the second observation in Module B, Part 2, identifying the CSTPs can be done together or by the participating teacher alone. I suggest you use the expanded elements of the CSTP sheets found in sheet protectors in the back of the support provider's binder. The expanded elements can also be found on our district website under Fact page in the Helpful Resources under the Fact Documents. And here's an example of Year 1's Expanded Essential CSTPs.
This is another page break.
Next is the post-observation conversation and document B4. The support provider can give the participating teacher their notes either prior to the post-conversation or at the time you meet together. During this conversation, reflect on what the new teacher did during the lesson and the student's actions, reactions, and level of engagement. Support providers are to provide evidence-based observation, no opinions. Document this conversation on document B4. I know I said I wasn't going to read the instructions, but please notice that the instructions say with your support provider. It does not say do this document alone. Please document your conversation with your support provider. I find when I am supporting a new teacher, it is easier for me to type while the participating teacher shares their reflection. This way I know the document is being completed together. Please note the only time an observation must be reported to either bits of leadership or administration is if children are at risk of harm emotionally, psychologically, or physically. This is not an evaluation and cannot be used for employment purposes.
This is a page break.
The only difference between the first observation and the second one is the focus. The first observation provides a general overview of the class and the teacher. The second observation requires the support provider to observe the class, paying particular attention to areas that their PT has specifically identified in their KWO chart B2. You can find that on our BITSA website. The KWO chart stands for what I know about my instructional practice, what I want to know about my instructional practice, and what I would like my support provider to observe. I highly recommend that during this first observation reflection conversation, you open up B2 from Module B, Part 2. B2 asks the participating teacher to identify what they already know about their teaching practice, want to learn, and what they want observed in Part 2. While the first observation is fresh in your mind, this is the perfect time to have this conversation. And step 5 is to schedule your next observation. I also recommend that this would be a perfect time to schedule the next classroom observation for Module B Part 2 while you're doing your observation reflection conversation from the first observation.
This is another page break.
Module B Part 2. There are 4 documents in total, but 3 of them have to be completed and added to your flash drive: B2, B3, and B4. B3 and B4 documents were already explained in Module B Part 1 and will not be repeated. And we also recommended that B2 be completed at the end of Module B Part 1, so many of you will have already completed this document as well.
This is one more page break.
Here are the steps for Module B. That was a quick overview of Module B. Any additional questions, please contact your lead support providers at the next BITSA meeting. I hope you found this video useful. Until the next module.
Thank you.